I haven't done one of these videos for quite a while. I have had various reasons for that. The beginning one was that the majority of things that I'd made were way too hot or too cozy for the time of year that we were having. Then it kind of just got away from me and I was like, oh, I'll do it next month, I'll do it next month, I'll do it next month. And here we are with a May, June, July, August lookbook and 22 things to show you, 23 including the absolutely amazing Moire Star jumper that Mum knit for me from this Stylecraft yellow acrylic wool. I'm so strange. I can't wear polyester clothing. I find it very uncomfortable. And conversely, I find pure wool and wool knit items incredibly uncomfortable. So Mum tends to make everything for me out of the Stylecraft double knit because it works really well for the patterns that I like. And this is no exception. I think this jumper is absolutely gorgeous. Mum did something slightly different for the cuffs for me. She did very long, thin cuffs rather than I think the original pattern had the ends of the cuffs ending the same way that the neckline does, and whilst that's really pretty, it's just not my preference. I absolutely love my Moire Star jumper, so thank you very much, Mum. And I will link to this pattern and the wool that Mum used in, or the yarn that Mum used in, the description down below, and I will do the same for absolutely everything that I show you today that is still available. It will all be linked in the description down below. Okay, the first thing that I have to show you, I actually don't have down here, but you've already seen it in the sew along video. It is the McCall's dressing gown that I made from the Liberty Loddon fabric that I had on my Make 9. I absolutely love this thing. I think it is gorgeous. It went together really easily. The sew along is great, if I say so myself. That was a definite success, which was absolutely awesome, and I made that all the way back in May. We have the Deer and Doe Magnolia dress, and this is in a fabric that I have been hoarding for a very long time. It's a viscose that I got from Indian Royal Treasures via eBay. I think they're still trading. If they are, I will link to them down below. I bought 3 meters of this fabric because this was the time that I was buying 3 meters of everything. I wish I'd bought more. It was a very narrow fabric, so I'm denied about what dress to make with it. It was going to be an Eve dress, and I then changed my mind and decided to give the Deer and Doe Magnolia a try. I bought this yellow viscose from Pound Fabrics. They had a deal on where you could get yellow viscose for £1 a meter. They weren't guaranteeing which colour you would get, but that you would get some kind of yellow viscose. So I had a little gamble. I bought 10 meters of it, thinking that if I didn't like the colour, at least it would be good lining fabric, and this is the colour that arrived. It's a really lovely warm ochre mustard colour, which works really well for me, and immediately made me think of this snake fabric because, as you can see, it picks out the snakes that are going through the grey tones really well. I used it for the waistband and the ties. I definitely didn't have enough of this fabric for this part of the dress, especially as I wanted to line the bodice of the dress in the same outer fabric. I also lined the sleeves so that you get a little flash of the yellow when I wear this, and I have put in a full skirt lining of the yellow as well. I've also made some bias binding, so there's lots of flashes of yellow when you walk. I absolutely love how this has turned out. It is a half circle skirt, which is the biggest skirt that I could get out of the fabric that I had. That also meant that it needed to hang and drape and do its biasy thing before I leveled the hem and finished everything off. So I finished this dress on the 24th of May, but I didn't end up hemming it until the 6th of August. I haven't worn it out yet, but I've worn it in a couple of videos. You guys will have recognized this, and that's because theoretically I only need to look good from the waist up in videos. You would laugh if you could see what I was wearing on my lower half at this current moment in time. So whilst you have seen this dress, I haven't worn it out yet because it wasn't completely finished, but it is now. After today's twirls and lookbook, it will go into the wardrobe and it will get worn because it is absolutely gorgeous, and I am over the moon with how this one turned out. Love this. Very happy with it. Going all the way back to the Anaconda and Thesis collection video, the ideas I had for all of the fabrics that went with that initial print. One of them was this chambray. I believe I made a by hand London flora dress with embroidery on the initial part of the fabric, and I had a fairly decent chunk of scraps and remnants left over. So I decided to try the 9345 tie front shirt, which is a hack that I still owe you guys and I will be doing a video for, with the sleeves from the 9006 top. and I really like how this has turned out. I do have some other fabric in my stash, particularly a blue and white stripe fabric that I got from Oya Textiles on the Goldhawk Road that I want to make basically this exact shirt with, although I am still debating on whether I put on a solid white collar and cuffs or if I just do stripes for the whole thing. But I wanted to see if I liked these sleeves on this style of bodice and shirt, and these sleeves are big enough that they are comfortable for me to wear because I don't like feeling restricted in my sleeves. I mean, so much so that you'll see an alteration coming up where I remove sleeves completely. So yes, this was an experiment to see if these sleeves went on this bodice and looked good with the tie nature of it, because I had not made a tie front shirt with long sleeves before, so I wanted to see if I liked it, and I do. I think it's awesome. I like that I can wear these rolled up. I like that I can wear them all the way down. This will also layer under some of my dresses quite nicely because you just don't tie this part in a knot, and it will sit nicely under some of the dresses that I like to layer up. So yeah, I'm classing this as a success, which means that I will go on to use the striped shirting from Oya Textiles to make the official version of this, with the tutorial of how to add on the ties to make it into a tie front shirt like this one, because you guys have been asking for that so long for quite a while. So it's a success. I like it. I will be doing more. Sorry. And I finished that one on the 27th of May. Then I went nuts on the knit projects. I made myself a bunch of knit projects last year in sort of browns and muted colours, and whilst I loved the idea of them, I didn't love the colours on me, so I treated myself to a bunch of French terries from Pound Fabrics just after my birthday, and some very, very lovely cozy colours sweatshirting from Guthrie and Garni. I also had some lovely prints on scraps of fabric that Catherine sent me, and they worked really well with some of the colours that I'd picked. So I'm going to go through these next pieces fairly quickly because they are sort of a variation on the theme, but I'm much happier with these loungewear pieces because they are such bright colours. First up we have the Cozy Colours set. This is the Sheridan sweater. It is a little duskier. It's looking bright on camera. It's a little duskier in real life. I was hoping for something that was very in your face corally pink, but I am not sad about the colour that's turned up. I do love it, and I was willing to splurge on the Cozy Colours sweatshirting because I have had some in the past that I've made a different jumper with, and I do wear that one fairly frequently and it hasn't pilled or bubbled. So I bought myself 3 meters and I got a Sheridan sweater and a pair of the 7634 joggers that I absolutely love. Now, I don't think I will ever wear these ones out of the house. I think I prefer the way the darker bottoms look on me. I have kept the tan bottoms that I made. I've got some dark teal, some black and green ones. This is super comfortable and feels amazing. So whilst I might not wear it out of the house because I do look like a walking blancmange in both of these together, I do absolutely love it and I think it's gorgeous, and I'm really happy that I've made it, and they're very comfy to wear, which is the idea behind things like this. The tan ponte that I used for last year's projects was from the Fabric Room, and I went back and bought one of their brighter colours, the Seafoam, and I made myself an 8145 and another pair of the jogging bottoms. Again, I absolutely love both of these pieces. I don't think these are something that I would ever wear out of the house because they're not the most amazing looking thing on me, but oh my gosh, they are comfortable and I love them, and I will wear them around the house when the weather cools down. And this 8145 I absolutely adore. I made the very first 8145 that you can see in the sew along out of the tan ponte, and I have donated that. I wanted to make myself another solid in a colour that works better for me, and here it is, and I absolutely love it. So these two got made, and then I started working my way through all the French terry that I got from Pound Fabrics. Most of these I had a metre of. I think I had 2 meters of the coral, 2 meters of the ivory, I had 3 meters of the French navy, and then I had a meter of the orange, which I haven't used yet, the yellow and the purple. So the first one that I made is this one. Catherine had sent me this kitty fabric, and it's the same French terry as the lovely Elena gave me for my birthday this year. I'm so happy that I had enough fabric to squeeze this top out of the scraps that I had. This is the Schnittchen Patterns Sue jumper. It's the one that I used for my labyrinth prints a couple of years ago. I absolutely love this. It does have a very open neckline, so it's not the snuggliest of jumpers, but I have made myself a couple of infinity scarves with different very snuggly fabrics, and I do have some very lovely high neck t-shirts so that I can wear those under this. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and again, I can't wait till the weather cools down so that I can wear it. It got to the point where I was having to be really strategic about which colour was going to go where because I had limited quantities of certain fabrics, but I'm very happy with how this one has turned out. Next we have the Misusu stereo sweater. All of these pieces to me are kind of screaming 80s Olympic ski team kind of thing. I just love the bold colours. I really like the stereo sweater. I have used this again for another labyrinth panel. I used it with the more muted French terries from last year, and I just felt really like subdued wearing them, whereas this one, I mean, it's ridiculous in your face and totally 80s tastic. It's like the 80s called and they want their shell suits back, but this is made out of French terry rather than polyester or plastic, so it's going to be way more comfy to wear. And yeah, I'm really pleased with this one. I think the colour combination is awesome. The only thing I've changed about the stereo sweater is that I've added elastic into the channel at the bottom. I haven't done it for my labyrinth one yet, and I think I want to because I just think it sits better for my preferences. But you can totally make it without the elastic in the bottom and have it cropped at the waist, and that looks really epic too if you like that look. I prefer this one. Another stereo sweater. This is the ginkgo print that Catherine sent to me. I was going to use it with the royal blue French terry, but it didn't look right, and when I put the yellow next to it, it just looked absolutely perfect. I've not tried this sleeve variant before. It's got the stripe that goes all the way up from the neckline down to the cuff, and yeah, it's epic. Again, it's very kind of like 80s tastic, but bright colours. It's lovely. It's going to be nice and snuggly this autumn winter. Very pleased with this, and thank you so much to Catherine for the fabric, and I had enough to put a panel in the back and the front. This one was 100% born out of how much fabric have I got left and can I squeeze more kitties into my wardrobe. I managed to get the little neck detail and the top of the shoulder detail out of the kitties with the salmon pink French terry and then an ivory body and back there. So again, very 80s tastic. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I will wear this. I know this is not going to be to everybody's taste, but I'm very happy with it. And if you want to try the Misusu stereo sweater, there's so many different options for the sleeves, the neckline, and there's even a hack of how to make this into a zip-up cardigan, which I haven't tried yet, but I totally want to. So yeah, absolutely over the moon with this one. Now, whilst I've been buying all of the fabric over the last couple of years, I actually haven't bought patterns for a very long time. I have broken that streak with the next two that you're going to see. So this is the Grasser 885. So this bright royal blue French terry I did actually want to make a pair of jogging bottoms out of, but there isn't enough stretch content in this fabric to do the waistband the way that I wanted to with the jogging bottoms, which is why it's ended up being this dress. This was an experiment to see if I liked it or not. I love it. It looks very Star Trek. It is definitely not going to be to everybody's taste. Again, it is kind of very 80s tastic. The neckline is the seafoam ponte. I had just enough left over from cutting out the other two garments to get this neckline out of that. You could have some real fun colour blocking these. Yeah, I think this is epic. It did technically call for a zip in this pattern. Whilst this fabric didn't have enough stretch for the jogging bottoms that I wanted to use, it definitely has enough stretch that it didn't need to have a zip put into it, so I have omitted that. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I have no idea if I'm going to ever have the confidence to wear this out of the house, and if I do, I have no idea what shoes I would put it with. I'm thinking about the twirls that I'm going to be doing for this one in a bit, and I don't know how I'm going to style it to show it to you, but I love it. You guys have seen me wear this in videos before, again from the waist up. It's super comfortable, lovely and cozy. I probably will make this dress again. The second new pattern that I bought is the Grasser 961. I saw this going through their catalogue, which I do every now and again, and just fell in love. This is really Olympic ski team in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what flag all these colours come from. I don't think they actually do come from any flag, but it's yeah. This was a challenge to cut out because the pieces are quite large, and I ended up only just having enough to get the neckline out of the royal blue French terry, and I had to piece it so it has a seam on both sides, which ties in with the shoulder seam, so I thought that would work. Yeah, this is totally outside of my comfort zone. It is way lower. This is where my waist comes, so it's way lower than that. It's oversized, it's snuggly. I mean, again, I don't know if I'm ever going to wear this out of the house, but I will be wearing it in the cooler months to keep warm, because I have been living in PJs and this kind of thing, editing over the last few months, so this is going to be a great addition for that particular side of my job and my wardrobe when the weather does cool down. I'm very pleased with myself that the 2 new patterns that I bought I immediately used. I think that is very virtuous of me. I mean, it's not at all. I didn't need new patterns and I could have used something else, but I couldn't resist. We have another McCall's 7289. I absolutely love this pattern. I'm planning on doing a video about the importance of fabric choices, because I have made this out of a variety of different fabrics. I've got one more to try. It's actually something that the pattern recommends, the next one that I'm going to try. It doesn't call for chunky knits at all, and you do need to make some modifications to the pattern to make this work. This is the super expensive knit fabric. I got the initial 2, the brown and the yellow one, from Pound Fabrics, and I think they still have that in stock, but they didn't have any ivory, so I went to Minerva for this. Luckily this top fits on a meter of fabric, although Minerva do sell by much better increments than Pound Fabrics do. It was 28 pounds for this meter, so this is a pricier garment, but I know that I like it from the less expensive versions that I've made, so very, very happy with this. Have worn this a few times and it's going to work really, really well in my wardrobe, so very happy with this one. I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the year I did a video of all the alterations that I wanted to attempt this year, because I have quite a few things that if I just made some minor tweaks to them, I would wear them far more often. This dress was one of them. It needed its sleeves removing because this yellow fabric is a polyester viscose blend. The entirety of the dress is lined, but the sleeves weren't. I really didn't like how this fabric felt next to my skin. The other thing is I used the original sleeves from the pattern and I really don't like those sleeves on me. It was the first time trying them. I'm glad that I did try them, but they just weren't right. They were too restrictive for my preferences, especially for a dress like this. I'm glad I did do them, because this dress was meant to be a layering piece in the cooler months under some other things that I've made. It worked really well for that, but I would have gone for much bigger, more voluminous sleeves to make it more like me. So to make this dress work for me, I took the sleeves off. I actually just unpicked them and then re-sewed this entire armhole by hand. So this is just slip stitched together. It's all it really needs, because it's not really under any tension. All of the creases were there from where it had been pressed previously, so it was actually quite an easy alteration. I'm so glad that I did this, because I feel so much more comfortable in this dress now, and the colour is fabulous, so I'm really looking forward to wearing it. I wear cardigans and jumpers a lot of the time, so having no sleeves on this works better for that, because I can easily put on this cardigan, for example, and it's not restrictive. So yeah, very glad that I got that one alteration done. I've still got 10 more to go and I haven't even started on any of them yet. Probably won't get done by the end of the year. Maybe 1 or 2. Next up we have a bit of a fail, and it's not a fail in that it doesn't look fabulous. It's a fail in that the waistband is made using this stuff. Which I bought an entire roll of, because one of the complaints Mum and I both have about waistbands on our skirts is that they crumple in on themselves, and this stuff is specifically designed and made for, I believe, men's trousers. So I was thinking, oh yeah, I will give this a go. And it is absolutely epic and awesome stuff, but its seam allowances are not 5/8 of an inch. So this is the 5-panel circle skirt, and it's drafted for a 29-inch finished garment measurement at the waist. This has ended up at about 25 inches around the waist, so I cannot get this on, and I'm really gutted because I absolutely love this fabric. I have a couple of options. Put it in my future proofing for when I do get back down to the size where I will be able to wear this, which is my goal, because I'll have a lot of trousers. These are not trousers. I have a lot of skirts that are this sort of size and I want to be able to wear them. Or take the waistband off, trim off around the top of the skirt and sew the waistband on slightly lower down. What's happened in my mind, this makes sense because I cut the waistband to be 32 inches long, so seam allowance plus the overlap at the back, because I like my waistbands to have like a hook. Can't undo it. I like my waistbands to have a hook and bar at the top. I really can't undo it. Come here. Yeah, I like my waistbands to have a hook and bar at the top rather than a button and buttonhole. It makes it more size adjustable. Also, I don't like the bump and the hole that you get at the top of the zip or in the zip if you put the zip all the way up to the top of the waistband. Also doesn't allow for as like I say, as much kind of like wiggle room with sizing of this thing. But I think what's happened, and I've cut a decent chunk of this waistband off. What's happened is the seam allowance is smaller, so I have sewn this onto the skirt with the smaller seam allowance, which means that the circumference up there is smaller, and I didn't think that would make that much of a difference, but it has. This skirt is way too small for me at the moment, which, like I say, is sad. I have hemmed and levelled it as well, which annoyed me, but never mind. If I do take the waistband off and move it down, it does obviously make the skirt permanently larger, which is fine, but yeah, this does not fit at the moment, which I am so annoyed about, but never mind. Never mind. I now know what I know about the waistband material, and I do like the result that it gave. This waistband is really nice and I don't think it's going to crumple in on itself. So now that I know that and the seam allowance thing, I will account for that in the next time that I make a skirt. So yeah, this was a bit of a fail, but the actual skirt itself is gorgeous. It was finished on the 27th of June and then I hemmed it on the 7th of August, so it definitely had enough time to do its biasy thing. This is a polyester fabric that I got from Spotlight. They hadn't listed that it was polyester, and I'm kind of glad that they hadn't, because I probably wouldn't have bought it if they had, and it's absolutely glorious. But it's lined fully with a viscose Marrakein, because it is slightly sheer as well, but also I don't like the feeling of this type of fabric next to my skin. So yeah, very full floofy floaty skirt that I cannot get into. Annoying. I had 5 meters of that fabric, so I knew I was going to be able to make something else with it. I was hoping for something different, and I can't remember. It was so long ago that I can't remember exactly what the other thing I was hoping for was, but I had enough fabric to cut out the McCall's 7 to 8 line. So this is exactly the same as this, but obviously looks completely different because of the type of fabric I've used. This was 100% an experiment. I do have some silks in my stash that is the final fabric that I want to try in this pattern before I do the video about the importance of fabric choices. I do really like how this has turned out. This is, as I say, a polyester fabric. I probably would wear it with the skirt and a t-shirt and probably a shorter sleeve t-shirt, so I'm not sure how comfortable this is going to be in the long term, but I'm really glad that I tried it. I think it's turned out really well. I French seamed absolutely everything again as an experiment for the silk that I want to eventually make this out of. So whilst this might not be something that gets worn super often, it is definitely something that has served its purpose and proved to me that I can make this with French seams, that it will look good in this kind of weighted fabric, and is something that I think I would actually want from some of the silks that I've got. So technically I did finish 2 garments in time for So Fruity month, but obviously didn't photograph them in time to actually enter the competition. Another So Fruity piece that actually got finished on the 1st of July is this. It's the Butterick 6554 dress. There is a sew along on the channel for this. This one I've fully lined. This fabric is from Telio and it's a viscose that is incredibly sheer. The reason I've fully lined it in the ivory viscose Marrakein is because the shadows of the print show through the background colour really easily, so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't getting any shadowing anywhere on the main body of the dress, although I have done the same thing that I usually do and double lined the flounces so that you don't see the wrong side of the fabric on either the flounce at the neck or the flounce around the skirt. I'm really happy with how this has come out, although I do think I would do it slightly differently if I were to do another one that's fully lined. This dress is not usually fully lined at all, and the neckline is finished off with bias binding. This time it's bagged out. It is understitched and it's okay, but it's not perfect in my opinion. I think I would have done better to sandwich everything together and then finish the entirety of this edge with bias binding and top stitched it down like I usually do. So there's no visible top stitching on this dress, and that's a win, I guess, but I do prefer the sturdiness that comes with bias binding finish around this type of a dress. So if I do a fully lined one again, I am going to do it that way rather than bagging it out completely as I did here. I will wear this dress. I think this is absolutely gorgeous and so ruffly and cute, and yeah, I'm really pleased that I finally used this fabric. It was in my make 9 as well, so one item ticked off of my make 9, yay. Yeah, I would do things slightly differently next time, but this is definitely not a fail. I'm calling it a win. We have another lemony dress. This time it is the Vogue 9182, and there is a sew along on the channel coming up very, very, very soon. You'll be seeing this before you see the sew along. I absolutely love how this one turned out. It is gorgeous. I really, really like this dress. This is the second one that I've made. There will be more. I really like it in this viscose linen fabric as well. It's got a really nice weight to it, which makes the skirt flow beautifully when you walk. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with this one. And like I say, there is a sew along coming up on the channel with a full review, so I won't wax lyrical about this too much because we're already quite far into this video. There's at least half an hour of recorded footage, so yes, I've waffled a lot, but very happy with this dress. Can't wait for you guys to see the sew along. I have somehow missed this one off of my list. I'm not surprised. This is definitely not a win. This was an experiment with some inexpensive fabric from Pound Fabrics that I had 6 meters of. I have got enough left over to make probably a 5951, which I think will look absolutely beautiful in this fabric. I showed mum and dad this, and dad immediately said it looks like a Regency era dress, and I see exactly what he means. It feels very Empire, lined with the tie where it is and the poof on the top of the sleeves. I didn't add any poof. Did I add any poof? I think I added any poof. I think this is how the sleeves came. Yeah, this was an experiment in something that was going to be nice and light and floaty for the warmer months. This is not the one. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done the v-neck. I should have done the boat neck with the grown-on sleeves. I think that would have worked so much better. So much better. But I'm glad that I tried. Luckily, the pattern, which I cannot remember the number off the top of my head because I haven't got it written down, but the pattern was something that I traced out back when I had my shop in the tunnel. So I've been meaning to make this for ages. Like I said, I'm glad I tried, but this is not the one. I am trying to decide if I take this apart and use the fabric for another project, because the back panel's got no shaping in it whatsoever, so it is just a very long and large piece of fabric. I think the lovely Caroline actually has a lot of this fabric as well, and she's offered to swap me this dress for 3 meters of fabric because Caroline thinks this might be a bit of her. I think you'll probably need to hem it a little bit because it's quite long. So I'm undecided what I'm going to do with this one yet, but it's definitely not going to get worn out in public because it is not the success that I was hoping for, which is a little bit sad, but never mind. It's not the end of the world, and at least I've tried, and I know that the next time I should definitely do the boat neck from that pattern because I think that will actually end up giving me something that is nice for the warmer weather and will make me happier in the long run. So yeah, bit of a fail here. And then we have another fail. This is the McCall's 7929 top turned into a dress, and there's an entire video coming out for this, the epic fail that was this dress. I think I tried to make this too many things and it's not succeeded in being any of those things, which is really sad. But I really like the skirt portion of this dress, so at the very least I'll be able to take that off and turn it into a skirt. I do have a lot of this fabric. I've got 6 meters left. This dress took 4 meters. I bought this from the Lady McElroy half price sale, so this fabric was 4 something a meter, and I bought 10 meters of it. Yeah, this as I say, there's an entire video coming out about this dress, and I've not given up hope on this one completely. I have an idea of how to fix this one so this one becomes more of what I was envisioning, but yeah, there was a lot of work went into this one and it did not turn out how I thought it was going to turn out, so it was a bit frustrating. But never mind, because there were a couple more projects that were wins, so it's not all been doom and gloom towards the end of this making period. I have some bags to show you. The first one is my version of the Necessary clutch wallet turned into evening bag. It's elongated, as you can see. It has a bright rose print fabric on the inside. There are card slots. I've done two types of card slots. So there's the regular all the way along there, so there's 3 rows of 3, and then on this side I've done one set of regular card slots, and then these ones are much longer. There's obviously the 2 zipper pockets, and then there's a much safer and more secure internal pocket there. It's just a slip pocket, but because of the way that I have riveted the bag together at the sides and put on the D-rings, it means that the NCW doesn't kind of like fan open as much as it usually does. That's the complaint that I hear from most people about the NCW, is that it's lovely but it really fans open. So that was something that I wanted to try and address with this one, and I'm really pleased with how this has come out. I do have a couple more tweaks to make to it, so I want to do this again with a different coloured fabric and hardware. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I haven't made an NCW for years, so it was really fun to go through and make this one, and like I say, I have a few more tweaks to make to this pattern to make it exactly what I'm imagining. But yeah, very happy with this one. Then, as you've seen, the very lovely people from Babylon Leather sent me the bag making kit to make this little leather beauty, and I absolutely love how this has turned out. I think this is gorgeous, and now that I've shown you and filmed all the videos for it, I can actually start using this. The only thing is I am going to need to have a slightly smaller wallet because the full-size NCW will not fit in here. But yeah, I'm over the moon with how this turned out. It was so much fun to do. Saddle stitching is painful on the fingers, I will say that. It wasn't the most fun time my fingers have ever had, and I absolutely hate the texture of the wax cotton. That felt, it made my skin crawl. But other than that, this was a really fun project, and I'm over the moon with the finished article. I think it's gorgeous. As you can see here, it is knitted, but I did make a couple of silk twillies to tie around the handles. Babylon Leather did send a couple of pink and light blue twillies in with the kit. They were freebies along with a little horse charm, but they weren't my favourite colours, so I dug out some of my leftover Dolce & Gabbana silk from making this top, and I had enough to make myself 2 silk twillies to tie around the handles like this image here. I am not sure that I'm going to always have these on, and these are long enough to use in my hair if I wish to, so these won't only ever be used as like twillies for bag handles for this bag. But it was really fun attempting to make these in a similar dimension to the Babylon Leather ones, and I think it's worked out really well. So yeah, I'm kind of happy with how these have turned out as well. And that is everything that I have made over the last few months. I'm sorry I haven't been doing a monthly lookbook. The sewing has been very sporadic over the last few months, as you've probably been able to tell from the dates that I've been giving you for the finishing of all of these items. Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of months, and there's been some epic wins and some kind of epic disasters as well. But that's always the way with sewing, especially when you're trying out new things that you aren't 100% sure, 1, if you're going to like them, 2, how you're going to put them together, and 3, if the combination of the fabric and the pattern are going to work for you. That's the downside of sewing, is you can't try your things on ahead of time to see if you like it or not. But I'm glad that I've tried everything back here. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Which is your favourite? I don't think I want to know if you don't like any of them though. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look through the things that I've made over the last few months. As I say, I'm mostly happy. I think most of them are successes, and we'll just ignore and not talk about the ones that haven't worked out quite so well. Most of those have their own videos coming and talking more depth about what the problems were and why those problems happened. So yeah, mostly happy. I think we'll call that a win. If you've enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this one here.